And good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Holotheatre. After taking my week off, I am back as usual. I'm always Dan Tortaglione, better known as D Tortag1. Joining me tonight is the Supreme Leader himself, Mr. Scott Lingrell. Uh, According to his kids, the man, the myth, the legend. And we have a special guest, but I really don't recognize him. Could you tell me who you are, our special guest?
Yeah, Dennis Reinhardt. That's a good one, Dan. Dan didn't recognize me at Nationals, and
Yep.
I was pretty offended by that.
He was, but we got Dennis on for tonight, so we got a very informative show. We're going to talk a little bit about the OCS. A lot has been going on in the last week, since last week. The standings are, it's insane with the standings right now. We're going to talk, we might drop a spoiler. I think we're going to drop a spoiler tonight. I'm not 100% sure. Chris said we might. I don't know. It's up to me apparently. But first, let's start with Mr. Reinhardt. Dennis, you came off a top four at Nationals. How'd that feel?
Yep, it felt pretty good. I'm sure I've seen your past episodes recently, a few weeks where you had Charlie on, you had Kessling on, and a couple other guys that team 1 million or whatever you guys call us, and uh, they all were like surprised, and to be honest, so I was kind of too. I don't play as much as those guys do, and I just I'm not a big fan of playing online. I've tried a few times,
Mm-hmm.
did a couple tournaments, and it's just a different feel. And I I don't like it because I'm not as good online, which is weird because they tell you everything that you can do.
Well, I mean, I'm going to go against that and say that you're actually pretty good online because I want to say it was last year on the NPC. I had to face you in the first round,
Uh,
and
I don't
you.
think so.
I think you did.
Really?
Yeah, you faced me in the first round of the NPC last year and subsequently kicked the crap out of me.
Yeah, Dennis
Um,
wins so much he just doesn't remember who he steamrolls.
well,
Yeah,
I think I only played in one or two online tournaments, and I know one of them I got kicked out in the first round. So
I could be wrong. I mean, I generally I'm wrong a lot, but I'm gonna actually fact check this really quick. So, but let's go. Let's talk about the Nationals and how you went. So you're part of team everybody in Star Wars but me. Uh, how did you specifically prepare for Nationals?
so I pretty much did. Like I said, I don't play much online. If I do, I usually play with Corey from Minnesota here, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'll get a game in with Charlie. But other than that, I mainly just go on Gemp and I watch games, try to figure out like what I think other people are playing, what I based on games I'm watching, what decks I think are the best, and then I just do a bunch of deck building.
Mm-hmm.
And I try all different types of decks and just build, read cards, figure out which ideas work, which ideas are terrible, and which ones are in between, and
Mm-hmm.
what can be tweaked. And that's pretty much my preparation for tournaments.
So, did you play test with anybody for this one? Was it Corey?
Yeah, Corey from Minnesota is who I did most of my play testing with, and then
Mm-hmm.
I think me and Charlie played like 3 or 4 games. So
I mean, you play tested against a guy who you and Charlie went 7-1. Like
yep,
I know Charlie was firmly placed on map. Well, he's back and forth, I assume, but I guess he left like his decks at home. But
yep.
what made you want to play map?
I've always been a big fan of map. I like aggressive decks. I mean, if you look at it, pretty much all my tournaments, I'm a big guy that,
Mm-hmm.
played TRM when TRM was big, played Hiko when Hiko was big. And then obviously I played Let the Wookie win, Chief Chirpa's Hut start. And then the last few tournaments I've played map for Darkseid, whether it was Worlds where map was really good. And uh, I feel like for me, it's a deck that I was extremely comfortable with. Me and Charlie had been tinkering. I should give Charlie more credit. He did a lot more tinkering than I did.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, so it's already been talked about like last week. my deck error on the third day was actually from a deck that I had built. I only had one map built back home. And so I just copied that deck list and put it over. Well, I had built a map with prepared defenses start instead of, I forget what the Darkseid interrupt is now. Starts bow and starts one effect. Whatever that one is,
Yeah.
impulse the shuttle. So I didn't have that in the deck, but I put that in the deck, but forgot to put the 1-0 sight in the deck. And so that was my error there because, like I said, I did prepared defenses, which you don't start the 1-0 then. You just get your 3 effects. So that cost me a little bit, but, you know, that's why you double check things, and I didn't. So
Yeah, that's what I've come for.
yes, there it is.
Yeah, and I mean, it looking back at that mistake, I mean, it's been quite a while since that. I mean, you almost beat Hayes to get into the finals. Are you dwelling on the fact that you made a mistake, or are you looking at it like, I almost beat Hayes Hunter?
Well, I wouldn't say almost because I did. Even Hayes said that I beat him after the game. He even said I beat him. So I don't look at it as I almost beat him. I look at him as I did beat him, but at the same time, I didn't advance because of my personal mistake. Nobody else's. I can't blame the penalty that they gave me or anything. At the end of the day, we're all responsible for our own decks and everything, and that was my mistake. So, and I played my light side a little rough too, so that didn't help anything.
I think you were one of the few people who played Let the Wookiee Win mains for day one.
I actually played against a couple Let the Wookiee Win decks, but I think I played against 3 if I remember correctly, and 2 of them did War Room start, and the third one also did Chief Sherpas start. So, but I feel like the War Room I think actually had more than the Chief Sherpas hut at the tournament.
Now, why did you specifically go with the Chief Surface Hut? Was it specifically so you could play Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight, and
100%, yeah,
and the Chris Kelly, like my father before me card?
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like getting +1 to their battle destinies? Pretty much getting to activate an extra force if you already have your lightsaber out, and then playing 5 Destiny 6 characters. Like, seems good to me.
Did anybody play Brigham against you?
Yeah, I actually played against Walseth Brigham with 4 or 5 Sith Fury non-Vs.
Oh yeah, that was Chew's old deck. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we had that. I want to say we saw that deck on stream. That seems like it's a fun little deck. Like I know
it does.
He played that against Joe Olson, and it was Joe Olson's no idea. Joe won that match, but just seeing how Mark was playing that deck as well. First of all, just that nice little deck, and the fact that he almost beat Joe. That's impressive.
Yeah, I think my matchup against him, I only won by like 6 or 7. So our matchup was like super close too. Kind of came down to the wire, and essentially not losing any force to Sith Fury against him pretty much won me the game. Because otherwise, if I would have taken 1 turn of Sith Fury damage, I think I lose.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So, right now, you said you're a very aggressive. You're essentially a mains type of a player. Are you going to go to Worlds?
I'm planning on going to Worlds. Yes.
So
I have a plane ticket bought. So
there you go. So, how do you feel about the meta going into Worlds? Like you've looked at some of the spoilers that they've put out so far, correct?
I think I've seen them all. I think I might have missed one if there was one revealed earlier this week. Otherwise, I think I know them all, or at least have looked at them all, not necessarily like know them. Counting that stuff, obviously, you can have ideas in your head about the spoilers, but until you can actually play the deck against other current meta tier 1 decks, you're truly not going to know. You can only do so much hypothesis in your head, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so, but so discluding that stuff, the meta right now, I would say I think it's okay. I like that there's a lot of diversity for some of the decks, but at the same time, I've never been a fan of like old allies personally. I'm also not very good at playing with old allies, so that kind of sucks when it's definitely one of the top two decks for the light side, at least in my opinion. And if you look at the previous tournaments, opinion is in and of itself right there. So
Yeah. So what would you say are like your main two top light side decks then?
like if I were playing,
Mm-hmm.
let the Wookiee win. I would still feel very comfortable playing Hitko. I actually really like QMC. I
Really?
hate playing against QMC. Yeah, I hate playing against QMC to be honest, but playing it, I like it, but at the same time, I hate it in a tournament setting because if you're playing 8 games with QMC can be a grind. Because if you make one or two mistakes, you're just going to lose that game.
Try playing OA and ISB for 8 games.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun either.
Funny enough, it's like
I'm
right up
curious
my alley.
how. I don't know if this card was spoiled, but I'm curious if Invasion's going to give old allies a little bit of help, because you can subtract 2 from their destiny, but if you're drawing 2 if unable to otherwise on the ground, that might help you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, yeah, the Invasion got the Naboo system, right? The V?
Yes, yeah. So that's one of the spoilers that is out there right now. We'll talk a
Okay.
little bit about that in a few. I really want to focus on Dennis because you're
Yeah.
still relatively young in the community, where there's a bunch of us old guys just continuing to play this game that we grew up on. But you're still relatively young. You went through the Walseth Academy, correct?
That is correct. Yep. Started in 8th grade. I don't know how long ago that was. I've been
That's
out
like
of
three
high
or four
school for
years,
7 years.
right?
So, yeah, I think it's like, I think I'm on year, let's see, 12 or 13 since then.
Wow.
So, it's been a little while.
Yeah, but I mean, so looking back since like you were in the 8th grade, like how do you feel like you've grown as a player? Is it? I mean, obviously you've improved, or else you wouldn't make like a top four at nationals with the players that
Sure.
you had there. But how do you feel like you've grown as a player?
I would think, so one of the bigger steps Charlie also mentioned last week is Minnesota, especially growing up, there's always like a lot of jank decks. So you necessarily couldn't play the best decks because a jank deck would beat your deck, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, when we first started, that was when you could only have a certain amount of shields too. You couldn't pack every
Yeah.
single shield. So that also played a factor in trying to guess like what shields people were playing and then building your jank around based off that. Like so growing up, it was a little weird, but at the same time, I feel like it also helps you as a player
Mm-hmm.
because beginning rounds of tournaments, you never know who you're going to play. You have a chance of playing, players that might show up with a deck that is complete you would never even thought of playing.
Yeah.
But now you can try to game plan on the fly just based on your previous experiences. I would also say that I've become a more of a aggressive player actually playing. When I first started, I would always whenever I knew I was playing somebody who was very good, I always just assumed they had the card that countered what I wanted to do. And so like I would shy away unless I had a counter for their counter.
Mm-hmm.
To where now sometimes I'm just like, screw it. Let's see what happens. If they have the card, they have the card. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah. I've actually adopted that myself in my play style more recently too, so I know how you feel. Uh, like it is worth it taking some sort of gamble sometimes, but you can't have a counter for everything, and that's what I kind of like about this game versus a game like Magic, where you can have a counter just because you have a sideboard. But with this game, you're limited to your 60 cards. So how excited? So is this your first Worlds that you're going to be going to, or is this like number two, number three?
For sure number two, I think. Well, for sure number three. Minnesota Worlds, Euro Worlds, and then this would be my third. There might have been another one in there somewhere. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
So, but for sure three.
Yeah, so yeah.
Did
So
you find yourself getting nervous before the games in big events still?
Um, I wouldn't say so. I think the only game I was actually nervous for was my very first game because
Okay.
I sat down or they announced the pairings and they were like, okay, Dennis and Joel. And I'm like, oh, sweet start. I get to play Joe. So like I was still like, okay, I have to play Joe who's coming off the streaks. And then on top of that, they said you have the live stream game. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's when the nervous like kind of sunk in a little bit. Because I've been on this live stream, I want to say that was my third game on the live stream, and I've done really poorly on my other two. And so I was just like, oh, no, here we go again. And
Yeah.
I always just have that like little thought in my mind, but I think I did a little better. I had some bad luck in that game against Joe. I think I could have won that game, but it is what it is, part of the Star Wars.
Yeah, and I mean that's fully understandable. But I mean, you got to think of it this way: you lost that game, but then you went 7-0 the rest of the way.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I can't remember the last time somebody did that in a major.
yeah.
Like Kyle Kruger, right? I think
Yeah.
he scored into Worlds top 8 one year, I think.
Yeah. Like it's been a long time. Like I know, I would love for Adam Fletcher or somebody who's like really good on the history of the game to look at that and be like, who's the last person besides Dennis to go lose their first game and then go 7-0 the rest of the way. But yeah, no, I mean you played really well that day. I mean, you had a great teammate with Charlie. Your team played really well, uh, and you were able.
Yeah,
to...
I think we went four
for
of the
eight.
8 of us that played. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
No.
I think it was Bill and Drew who were the only two members of your team that were there who didn't make it.
Well,
You letting
I
down
think
the
that was
team.
Drew's first major though, I think.
Yeah. I mean, like a lot of people, like I don't know, I don't get it. Like a lot of people like to pick Drew to make top 8s and stuff, and then he just
Yeah. That was his first in-person major, I think, right?
Yeah.
Like he's played online tournaments, but
Now I'm waiting for Drew to say he is going to Worlds. Like I don't know if he signed up or not, but I think like Drew is one of those players who's on the cusp of the game.
yes.
Like okay, so I know you went to Euro Worlds. Did you make the top 8 there? Or were
No,
you just
so
really
it
close.
was I was actually I was one win away from being in the playing games
That's right.
at Euro Worlds. I lost to Greg my very last game by like
Mm,
I want to say it was like 4 cards,
yeah, because
and it was to time. So
I remember like after the John Anderson Memorial Tournament, Joe and everybody we all got together and did like that auction draft for players in Worlds, and I want to say you picked yourself.
doesn't surprise me.
I mean, you can't go wrong there.
No. I know Hayes picked himself. I remember that specifically. So
Joe did not pick himself because I got Joe.
yeah.
I was like, Joe, Joe, you're not picking yourself.
Yeah.
I would have traded him, but so yeah, no. I mean, again, congrats on your showing. You played really well.
Thank you.
That weekend, and I cannot wait to see you at Worlds because now I remember what you look like.
Oh, I hope so. It'll only be like our 6th time meeting Dan for a full weekend,
hey,
but
I'm sorry.
who's counting?
Apparently
It happens
you.
all the time.
To be fair, life is a thing, and yeah, I'm getting older, so. So let's move on now into a little bit of the business that we have to talk about. Let's go into. So again, we were just talking about Worlds. So if you haven't signed, if you're not one of the people who've signed up, please go on and sign up. We currently have 28 players. Yep, main event only. So we have Morgan Lewis on the throwback. Main event only are Casey and Robbie. And then we got 26 people signed up for the weekend pass. Funny enough, Pat Johnson recently won a Darth Vader Emperor's Enforcer AI off of Chris Gogolin on his show on Monday. So congrats to Pat. Including on all that. Again, if you're looking for any more informations on Worlds, just go on over the forums. You can check on like all the schedule, the COVID policy. Again, make sure you read this if you're going. You can check up on the prizes. You can check up on everything, like roommates, pretty much everything. Like you can, yeah. Somebody's looking to pay your entrance fee so he can get the prizes. So I don't know if anybody will allow that, but yep. But yeah, get registered for Worlds. It's going to be fun. I know, Scott, you're going, right?
Yeah, I'm going.
Good. You didn't go to a Nationals, but you're going to Worlds.
Well, that was my mother-in-law's 70th birthday surprise party. Couldn't get away from that one. Could have, but
could have, but you wouldn't be here on camera right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be in somewhere else. But yeah, I'm going to Worlds.
Good. Okay. And really quick, let's check up on the OCS. Paul Myers is currently in the top seat at 11-1. Tom is 10-2, but if you got to watch out for Bastion, who is currently 10-0. Jared Napolitano is in 4th, and Pat Johnson is in 5th. Dennis, you said you don't play a lot online. Scott, how are you doing in this month's OCS?
I was 4-1, and then I went all downhill from there. I lost like all 6 of my games with Lightside.
4-8. Yeah,
no, it was actually I think 4-8 I went. So
yeah, right here, Advocate number 28, 4-8 still. Yeah, I guess a lot of people are having issues with Lightside. So I know Jared put out a bounty for anybody who goes 6-0 with their Lightside. So hopefully somebody will go 6-0 with their Lightside. Bastion currently is 5-0. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'll win next month actually. So that's okay.
Okay, everybody. So we had a bunch of spoilers already. Again, all these spoilers are currently up on the forums right now. If you want to go check them out, Naboo, we're getting a new Naboo for Invasion. Yeah, wow. I couldn't remember the 0 side. So we're getting a new Darkseid shield that gets around strike planning. New projective telepathy, and then apparently we're going to get a Darkseid Scarif theme. So we got a little bit of stuff on that already. We got the system, a site, the deflector, the shield gate, a new Devastator. So that's kind of interesting. Cat walls getting virtualized to help out against tractor beams. I'm a fan. I'm really going to enjoy this one. The off-world Jedi or the off-world Jawa. Like I know Bill's looking forward to that one. Jeff Johns spoiled the heavy infantry Mandalorian, so we're getting another light side Mandalorian character. This one comes with a flamethrower. Kendall spoiled Figurin Dan in the modal nodes. So I think this is going to be a really good card for QMC, as well as Agents in the Court. Jedi Holocron is going to be interesting for Mind What You Have Learned, as well as just if you're playing Jedi with mains. So maybe you want to put this into your Let the Wookiee Win deck, Dennis.
Actually, I haven't seen some of these cards that you've said, so
nice.
Trying to read them as you scroll.
Well, everything's all on the forum, so as we after the show, you can go ahead and check them out. We're getting Grogu, also known as Baby Yoda. He's a Power 2, Ability 4 character.
I think he's pretty strong.
I do too. The fact that you interrupts may not be played unless they're immune to sense, that's kind of crazy. Getting a new Chewbacca, Defender of Kashyyyk Chewbacca. Tarful, we're getting Tarful. He's the chief from episode 3. He was in battle, I believe.
Yep.
And then we're getting a redo of Communing. So again, all these commuting stuff. So we're getting a new epic event, new starting interrupt for it, 3 new Jedi to start, and 3 new sites. And again, all these are on the forums. So if you missed any of them just now, you can go ahead and check them after the show, because I said that we might have a forum or might have a spoiler tonight. Well, you know what? We're going to spoil the rest of the set. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready. I want to see
Okay.
what's.
Okay, here we go. We're going to start with light side. So the first thing right off the bat is Goldenrod is getting an errata. So with Goldenrod now, it's the original text is still on there. However, they must never again leave the city is suspended on opponent's first turn. So you still have to pay 2 for your the executor, but you can't do it on turn 1. I think that's kind of fair. Like, setting up the executor turn 1 is really strong, and the fact that you get it in your opening hand is really good. I mean, I know that like Timo and Paul Myers and even Joe Olsen are playing the Dark Deal deck, but you got to admit this is fair.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah. I like the change. Always annoying when your opponent can put a ship that's power 12 into less than 15, turn 1 for 2 force.
Yeah.
Seems pretty good.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think it might be a little weird in is, oh, never mind, it won't really affect it. I was going to say Watto's, but it won't affect it unless you're playing like TRM, I guess. So.
Yeah. No,
because your opponent's losing 2 anyways.
Yeah. Okay. After that, we're going to get a Republic interrupt. To use interrupt, this is where the fun begins. It's going to be Destiny 4, use interrupt. If a battle was just initiated, each of your Republic starfighters present is powered +1 and immune to attrition for the remainder of the turn. Or if Anakin and Obi-Wan in the battle together, cancel one opponent's Destiny just drawn, except for the Battle of Destiny. So, it's kind of like an organized attack for Republic starfighters. I mean, I think I could see this being played in like a WAP deck that plays like the Bravo fighters, or even the Queen's starship. Like that's not bad. But
I like the secondary part of stopping, force lightning, stopping a sense in the middle of battle, stuff like that.
Yeah, you can stop. You can cancel a weapon destiny. Like that's pretty good. Now, I mean,
Yeah.
Anakin.
I think.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dennis.
I was just gonna kind of agree. I think it goes really well in WAP, no matter what your space package is, because if your ship isn't fully immune, you can make it fully immune. Or your WAP is more of like a mains platform now. I think the mains platform is a little bit better than the non-mains. And I was a big fan of the non-mains platform, but
Same.
I think the mains is better. And now if you have Anakin and Obi out of sight, like Scott was saying, I think it's pretty strong secondary.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the chat just pointed this out. If you play Anakin on the Azure Angel, and then you have Obi-Wan on the Radiant 7, it works that way too.
I like it.
So,
Good card.
Yeah,
All used, which means that you can play the secondary part without having to be a Lost Destiny like some of the other ones.
Yeah. Okay, and then we have a Republic character, Paige Tycho, Rose's sister. Adds 1 to the weapon destiny. Weapon destiny draws and defense value anything she's aboard as a passenger. While out of play, adds 1 to your total power, where you have a resistance character of ability 2. If just lost, may place her out of play. She's ability 2, power 2, deploy 2, forfeit 5. I like that she's a deploy 2 and a forfeit 5. That's pretty strong. And I mean, she seems like she could be viable in like an OA deck, but I mean, and she goes well with Rose, but yeah, I mean, she's not a bad character. I mean, she might see play.
Yeah, the weapon destiny stuff is good. We'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm indifferent about her. I think the best part about her is her forfeit, to be honest. But
Yeah.
She's like Officer Evax.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, moving on really quick. We go to Alien Rabble. This is a Power 4 Ability 2 character. It shares the type. The card is the same species as your rep. So in Agents of the Court, that's pretty good. So you have another alien that you can have on the table. When deployed, may retrieve the rep or place the rep onto from your objective onto the use pile. Once per turn, if the 7 side of Agents of the Court is on the table, and you just retrieve force, you may place it on top of use pile or force pile. Deployed for 4 and forfeit 5. So again, decent forfeit. Like I mean, and it looks like it's going to be really good for Agents of the Court.
And then you could pull, I mean, listen, putting a guy back in your rep back in the use pile is a big, big deal. People don't realize play that deck. You need that. That's amazing.
Yeah. And it also gives you another alien, like another species. Like, say if you're you don't have your rep on the table, it's another species for like ancient watering hole.
And can you retrieve this with the backside of the objective? Because it's a non-unique version of your.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe running 3 of these because they're diamonds. So you can put 1 per planet. Might be a good idea for going after the players.
yeah, I think this is actually a solid card that definitely helps a deck that I don't think has seen any like real-time play in a while. Like I agree with Scott. I think the best part about it is being able to put your rep back instead of it just kind of sitting there unless your rep dies. I think you can deploy him if he dies or something. But...
Okay. On to our next card, and I know this is one that a lot of people are going to enjoy. We're getting a Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker. So Destiny's 1. He is a Jedi Council member.
Jedi Council member, though?
Yeah. He is a Jedi Council member.
Okay, but he's not a master.
He's not a master.
Him and Coyote Mundy or whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Power 7, Ability 6. He adds 3 to anything he pilots. While armed with a lightsaber, adds 2 to his defense value. During battle, may lose 2 force to add 1 battle destiny. Immune to attrition less than 6. Deploy 8, forfeit 8. You know, I kind of like him. I wish he was a general, because at this point in the timeline and everything, he was a general. But that would be really, really strong.
Well, don't forget also, you can use the card to place in the use pile, the GIC, the Jedi Master GIC interrupt.
Yeah.
Are you brain dead?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true.
Yeah. The only bad thing about him, I think, is the deploy 8. Other than that, I think he's pretty crazy.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think with deploy 8 and the fact that you can get 2 battle destiny in a battle, it's kind of fair.
It's pretty much like paying for a Rey and Solo, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, I mean, the only other thing is, like, him having, when he's armed with a lightsaber, he has 2 to his defense value. That's pretty good, too. Like, he's defense value 8, so he's kind of like, he's a little bit better Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight. I mean, he's like a Darth Maul with built-in the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, he's like Lord Vader was, and that's where they got from, I'm sure.
Yeah. But yeah, that deploy though, the fact that he's at 8 cost is kind of crazy.
8 is expensive, but honestly, the more I think about it, I mean, a lot of the best decks are trying to set up like 12 activation turn on your second turn. So I mean, yeah, it's a lot, but at the same time, the idea behind the game, at least right now, is to set up activation as fast as possible. So even if you get him in your opening hand, theoretically, you should be able to deploy him turn 2 or 3. And like Dan, you said, having a character that can go that early and draw 2 destiny with or without the lightsaber. Pretty good.
Now, I
Yeah.
mean, I do like that he's immune to attrition value less than 6, so he's not as big of a tank as like Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight, and I'm really glad that he's not Destiny 6.
Yeah, we don't have to sell cards, so we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and here we go. We have another light side character, Lando, hero of the Rebellion. He's a leader and a resistance agent. He is Destiny value 3, power 2, ability 3. Adds 1 Destiny to total power with Chewie or Jana, or while piloting. During your turn, may reveal the top 3 cards of your reserve deck. Take 1 starship with a deploy cost of less than 6 into hand. If possible, shuffle your reserve deck.
So he's like Maz with the and Lady Proxima with the top 3 cards during your.
I mean,
Yeah, just for starfighters, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Or starship.
kind of thematic. I mean, it's pretty thematic with Episode 9. I do like that he's a rebel and a resistance character.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I kind of like him, but I mean, in OA, you're still going to probably play General Calrissian just because he's a general. But
I kind of disagree with that. I think that this one will actually see play. You can just pull your General Leia twice then. Like you pull your General Leia sinker, grab this guy, and now your starship is like even more crazy because they'll just add a destiny to power. So that'll be power. Let's see, does he add anything to power?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
So that's a negative, I guess. So I guess you're swapping out his normal power for a destiny to power. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I could be wrong now that I noticed that.
Yeah. I mean, he seems like he's not bad. I mean, I do like the fact that you can get a starship into your hand. I feel like that's one of the bigger problems with OA. But
Yeah,
actually,
Leia's resistance transport might see a little more play.
yeah. Greg Zinn just pointed out something really nice in the chat. He has no episode 7 icon, so he works in Hitco as the resistance agent.
It needs some help.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, that's actually a really strong point because Hitco has that idea of you can't play it like Luke is your agent. So, but I do agree though that yeah, Lando adding nothing to power when he's piloting kind of bad.
Yeah,
he's a pretty good pilot from what I remember.
yeah.
He adds a destiny.
The more I think about it, though, it's interesting because like you could set up a crazy deck with multiple Leia or Leia's transport now, and that just pulls a character of itself or a female character for free.
Yeah.
So if you happen to flip that on one of your turns, and now you have your 2 ships with like Holdo or whoever up there.
Yeah. That's a good point. Okay. Under our next light side card, Free Ride combo is getting an errata or getting an update. It's still
New card.
Yeah, it's a new card. It still cancels occupation, and that is immune to sense. So, but however, during your turn, you can target an opponent's spy or unpiloted combat vehicle at the site you control, and it is just lost. Or you can cancel an attempt to deploy or move a combat vehicle as a react, or cancel a react to or from the same site as Leia or Luke. This essentially, I think this is a card that is a huge blow to anything that wants to play ATSTs. And I kind of feel like this card kind of reminds me of Help Me Obi-Wan Kenobi combo card. It does a little too much. So, what are your guys? I was gonna say, what are your guys' thought on this one?
Yeah, I think there might just be a little too much here. I think maybe the auto lost might be a little too much,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the last part of the text as well after that. Other than that, I'm actually okay. Hurting the combat vehicles, never been a fan of them. And then on top of that, I don't like that there's that ATST that can react and then just cancel somebody's game text. That's never cool.
I know unsalvageable stops stuff like that.
Yeah.
It stops light side opponent's umpire. Oh no, it's starships. I'm sorry, or an opponent's unpiloted vehicle. Basically, it just says if you have an unpiloted starship at a system or an unpiloted vehicle, it just makes the target lost. So the Darkseid's had it for a while, so I guess maybe that's the idea, is having something for light too.
Yeah, I mean, I understand like wanting to give your red combo something else to be in. Like, it's only a canceller for occupation, and I mean, I totally get that. But like I said, and like Dennis just said, I think it does a little too much. And the fact that it just goes, oh, your spy is lost or your combat vehicle is lost, that kind of sucks. But I will say this though, it is going to be a Destiny 5 interrupt that you can't cycle. Like you
Oh,
can't.
that's somewhat. That's good.
Yeah. So
Yep.
I mean,
That's why you just play Luke effect and you sync it, and then
yep.
there it goes.
Yeah, it would have to be an undercover spy. Okay, next we have Wookie Homestead. So we are getting a little bit more with our Wookiee theme. Deploy on Kanchiro. Wookiees deploy -1. If you have 2 Wookiees in a battle, you draw 1 battle destiny if unable to otherwise. While you're Wookiee alone here, Darkseid icons are canceled. I think that's a good effect. Like, I think you're going to start it. And, I mean, it's solid. It decreases deploy costs. And it's going to cancel Darkseid's icons. So, yeah.
But you've got to be active and actually get, because if you remember Legacy, there was a Wookiee site that canceled the icon unless they occupied.
Mm-hmm.
So this way you've got to put your guy down to do it. So I like that.
Yeah. I mean, this is something you can play with your Let the Wookiee Win deck, Dennis.
I mean, I guess, yeah, you could.
And,
See where.
and then you got the Bowcaster. Deploy on your Wookiee. If the Wookiee is non-unique, it adds 1 to power. May target a character or vehicle for free. Draw destiny. Add 1 for each Kashyyyk location you control. Target hit and is power -3 if total destiny greater than defense value. I kind of wish it would draw 2 destiny. Like,
Chewie's Bowcaster. It's not as
yeah.
good.
I wish Chewie's Bowcaster would see play. But at the same time, I mean, it's a cute little blaster. I wish it was a matching weapon for your non-uniques, so you could pull it. But I think that's asking a little too much.
Yeah, there's already enough Destiny 5 interrupts that can pull it, so
True.
used.
Okay, so here we go with some Wookiee helps. We have Yaru. If drawn for Destiny, each of your Wookiees are power +1 for the remainder of turn. He has an agenda, which is taxation. At Kashyyyk sites where you have 2 Wookiees present and your total power is greater than 10, your force range are +2. Not bad. Like, I mean, you can draw him for Destiny and then take him into hand with Jedi Levitation, so then you still add the +1 power. But no, I think you definitely want the force drain +1 text. So
Yeah, I think you could set up some pretty interesting deck ideas with Senate with the Wookiee theme, actually.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, subtracting 3, adding 3, and then you have the power -3 if you hit with a weapon. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like it. It's interesting. It's coming together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is a pretty big set, and we're nowhere near done yet. We got more Wookiees. We got a triple dot Wookiee Warrior, power 2, ability 2, roar, defense value 4. During battle at a site may add 1 destiny to total power. During battle, unless hit, may lose this character. Restore your hit character here to normal. So
It's like towels.
yeah, like the towels. What was that? The word that we used during Legacy. Like you couldn't target that character. You couldn't hit any other characters unless this one was hit.
I know there was heroic. I don't remember the
Yeah,
other ones.
it was heroic.
Oh, battle guard or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like this. Like, it's deploy 4, 4 for 4, but again, your Wookiee's deploy -1, so he's a 3/4 essentially. And then, yeah, you just want to load up on all your strong Wookiees, and then boom.
Nice.
Wookiee guide. If opponent just initiated battle on Endor or Kashyyyk or any force, move your non-unique Wookiee there as a react. Deploy a Wookiee to a Kashyyyk site, or activate 1 force for each Kashyyyk location you occupy. It's a use interrupt that's really. I think this is really strong. Like
Yeah, you can see some of the Wookiee influence from the last time they did this. There's some things like with the activation, and so it's interesting to see some of the callbacks, but working it into a new way too.
Yeah.
So I like it.
Yeah, and it's really good that you can use this on Endor too. Kind of thematic as well.
Yeah.
Okay, Wookiee Roar, another used interrupt. When drawn for Destiny, once per turn, choose one of your Wookiees to be power +1 for remainder of turn. If a battle was just initiated involving your Wookiee, add 1 Destiny to total power, or cancel an attempt by opponent to target your Wookiee to be lost or captured.
So it's a Destiny 3. It stops Force Lightning. Stops Dr. E for Wookiees. So that's cool. Only Destiny 3. It's not going to be overpowered.
Choke Vader too, right? And Trample.
Yeah, traps trample.
Yep.
It stops hidden weapons. I mean, they can still be hit, but they can't be captured or lost.
Yep.
Well, cancel an attempt, right? So it would just straight up cancel hidden weapons, or might not work. Maybe I don't know.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good point.
We'll have to find out.
Yeah. Greg is in the chat right now, so I'd love to see. Oh,
it's IG with gun as well.
Yeah. It's according to Greg, it stops hidden weapons right away before they draw.
Yeah.
It would not stop Bosk with gun, I would think.
No, because that's weird.
It's an all-card situation.
Yeah.
So that's why he doesn't stop Bosk, because that's thematic in Star Wars universe.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, then we got some more shites for Kashyyyk. We have the Sacred Falls. It's a 2/1 for light side. Your Wookiees move here for free when using their lion speed. While opponent occupies with the Wookiee, your force generation here is canceled. So there you go. There's that site you were talking about, Scott.
Okay. You still got to have a Wookiee there, so that's good.
No, I like that. It's essentially a 2/0 with your Wookiees. And then if you play Yaru, you still get a force drain +1 there, as long as your power is over 10. So, and then we have the work settlement. While you occupy your Wookiees are forfeit +1. While the Darkseid controls, opponent's Wookiees are power -1. And that's a 2/2. I kind of like that one. It's again, that is thematic. It's just with the thematic of the Imperial invasion of Kashyyyk and everything. So,
yep.
Yeah, I like that one.
I think it too. I always like 2/2 sites, a almost guaranteed drain 2, and then also with that effect that you were talking about. You know, you could turn it into a 2/0 for a little bit, anyways, until you're ready.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, here we go with our Darkseid cards. We're gonna have another of we have an alien mob instead of the alien rabble. It does almost the exact same thing as the light side version. Actually, I'm pretty sure it does the exact same thing.
Yeah, this is really going to help. Really, the only Darkseid version that's good right now is Skrilling's, and this will make it better because you need to get Potsnicken in the use pile. So this is really going to be much better. Hey, it's a good It's a good deck.
Oh my god! Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
Moving on, a Sith Legend, Lost Interrupt. So it's a Destiny 2, I believe. Well, yeah, it's a Destiny 2. Reveal a lightsaber from hand to pull a matching Dark Jedi or Sith, or vice versa. Or once per game, cancel the game text of an opponent's non-Jedi character presence with your Dark Jedi or Inquisitor for the remainder of turn. That's...
This card is very strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Destiny 2, obviously. You know, you think of it, Sniper's a 3, right? Or Blaster Proficiency combo's a 2. So this is right with that power level. Who was it? Bane, the alien that stopped the immunity on Jedi?
Yeah.
Yep.
This similar concept, I think. Obviously, it'll do much more, though.
Yeah. I mean, it is a Lost Interrupt, so you can't cycle it once you reveal for a Dark Jedi or a Sith, but the fact that you can just straight up cancel a non-Jedi's game text, that's really strong.
I like it with ROPS, believe it or not. Like a big gray ROPS with characters.
Yeah.
Seems interesting.
Yeah. And it's a good way to get a Vader with Saber.
Yeah. I also think it's pretty strong, just the upload part itself.
Yeah.
You know, there's at least consequences to a download. Where upload, you have 0 consequence. You can just hold it till you're ready.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, and we're getting a new Mustafar site. It is a docking bay. It's a 1-0 for Darkseid. Once per turn, may deploy a starfighter with Vader in title. And then the light side, your docking bay transit from here to or from here requires +4 force, +6 if Vader or Vanny here. I think that's really solid. Like, I like giving Darkseid another non-battleground docking bay.
Yeah, and it lets you get the some unused cards. You know, it lets you play Vader to the ground, but then put him in space if you need him. Okay.
And I want to say you could pull this with Vanny, because it has Vader in the game text.
Yeah, you should.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives, like, Hunt Down, another card, another site to pull that's a non-battleground. So that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Another card that I'm kind of excited about is the Avenger. I like changing up Star Destroyers that were not good and now making them a little bit better. This one I do like a lot. May add 4 pilots, 4 passengers, 2 vehicles, 4 ties, permanent pilot ability 2. Once per game, may deploy a captain or Imperial with armor aboard. Deploy -2. Yep, Bill, that is 100. That's the guy I was thinking, Captain Kurgi. Yeah, like I like this card a lot.
Kurgi, Gilead,
Yeah,
which is yeah, I mean, there's some cool things on here.
yeah. Now we just need a good Captain Nita.
So thematic. He's good.
Yeah.
I like it.
We got a new effect for Darkseid as well. Unlimited power. You deploy on the 500 Republica. Your Emperor, Maul, aliens, and independent starships are lost. At the start of your turn, or start of your control phase, if Sidious here, may draw 2 cards from your force pile. Once per game, may lose 1 force to relocate Sidious here.
Yeah, so the idea is it's kind of a reimagining of the Sidious Senate that was in Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
You had some of the cards already, so the idea is you can set up the deck with this, and then in the future, as they put out more cards, you'll be able to kind of expand on it, which is good.
No, I really like this card because I mean, Sidious there is going to give you a lot of card advantage. Now, you can't really play it in ASM. That's kind of sucks. But at the same time, card advantage.
The trick is just being able to get Sidious down, and then I guess if you can get him on the table, you can then relocate him here if you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Another Coruscant site. It is the Coruscant The Works. May deploy non-thief Palace Sidious here. So I think Bill's going to be happy about this card. And if opponent's special edition objective on table, gains 1 light side icon and force strain +2 here. So clearly has ISB hate, hunt down hate. Props.
Yes, play it in those decks. I think the idea is you'll play it with the 500 Republica with this site and slip sliding away to get the other effect and do whatever else you need.
Yeah. That's a good, I like that. That's a good strategy. I mean, right away you're getting, 4 icons. He comes down for 6. So as long as your light side opponent's giving you +1, like a 1, maybe 2 icons, you can get Sidious out turn 1.
And you can move them for free by just losing a force.
Yep.
Yep.
Especially, and the other thing is if they put sites between you can still relocate, which is good.
Yeah. And here we go. We have a new Darkseid objective, everybody. On the Verge of Greatness. So, if you can't tell, this is a Darkseid Scarif objective. So, you start off by deploying the Set 16 Death Star. Spoilers. The Scarif system, the Citadel Tower, Commence Primary Ignition, and the Shield Gate. For the remainder of the game, you may not deploy characters of ability greater than 4, except for Vader. Vader is power +2, and he or the Star Destroyer he is piloting may make a regular move to a battle just initiated. That's really strong.
It's not a react.
No.
That's good.
Yeah, it's still a regular move, and it can't be canceled by like sensor, just canceling reacts.
And you could do it to your battle as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see what the backside now says, because that's a for remainder of game thing too.
While this side up once per turn may deploy a site or Imperial Trooper to Scarif, you flip the card if Krennic or Tarkin on Scarif and the Death Star is orbiting it. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be too hard. The backside is taking control of the weapon. While this side up, your force generation is +2 for each blown away Scarif site. The Tarkin Doctrine is immune to alter, and when it initiates force loss, you may take any card into hand from the force pile. Once per turn, if opponent's character is just lost from your site, may place it out of play unless opponent loses 1 force. Tarkin adds 3 to total of Commence Primary Ignition. You flip it back if there are no leaders on Scarif. Place this card out of play if the Shield Gate not on table or if Death Star has been blown away. It seems really good, and it seems kind of thematic with the whole. So it looks like you're going to be blowing away your sites.
Yep. Yeah. Really cool.
Yeah, I think it's a sweet idea. Like you already said, it's thematic as well, as in like so it comes from the movie, and Vader was the only one that in at least our card game has high ability. You never saw Emperor, so I think it's very thematic. It'll be interesting to see builds on it because I think personally you'll have to use like death troopers and stuff because otherwise your leaders are going to die pretty quickly. You need something to protect them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the reacting with Vader also is huge too because you like already touched on space or ground. So.
Well, I mean, and we just talked about this card, so I like this because you could play a Sith Legend, pull Vader or his lightsaber, play him, and then you have a Vader who's essentially teleporting to battles with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
No, I think this is going to be a little fun.
Is Vader a matching pilot for Devastator?
No, but we did just get a new. We are getting a new Devastator, so
Super laser that
yeah.
doesn't cost hours to deploy or shoot looks good.
Yeah, and the fact that it can target capital ships, like that makes me happy. Can't target
Yep.
planet systems except for Alderaan. Commence primary initiative may not be canceled, and like you just said, you can target a capital ship, but it's only one destiny, but you're getting +2.
I'll take it because
Yeah,
before you have to pay more, and you get 2 destiny, but it's very tough to pay for that.
yeah,
Yeah, +2 works for me.
yep,
Tanev, it's still a pretty good shot at hitting Tanev,
yeah. And here we
which is a
go.
nuisance at your Death Star.
New Death Star. It's only you only have 2 icons now instead of 3. Parsec X is the parsec of the current position, and it starts at 4. Deploys only if on the verge of greatness is on table. Hyperspeed equals 2. Starships may move between Death Star and the system it orbits as react. So it starts at 4. Scarif's a 6?
Yeah.
So it's going to get there in 1 turn. So yeah, I mean, I seems pretty good.
Well, you got to blow away the. I think you have to blow away something first to get there, or not really. I guess you don't need to.
No, you just move it on turn 1, and then you have Krennic or Tarkin at the Death Star, or on Scarif.
That's right. Yeah, Scarif is no, it's 7.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so thank you. But yeah, and that's a good point. Both players can move as react.
Nice.
Okay, and then we got some sights. We got the Darkseid version of the beach. Krennic and Death Troopers are power +1 here. Your combat vehicles and spies are 4 for +1 here for the light side. Seems good. You got the command center. If an Imperial leader here, add 1 destiny to your set 9 epic event total, targeting a Scarif site. If the shield table is on table, if the shield gate is on table, opponent's force drains are +1 here. So you'd be draining for 2 there for the dark side. So it's not a bad location. Plus you add to, and they just have to be there. They don't have to control. So for the extra destiny to your total. And then we have the landing, the docking bay. Docking bay transit requires 1 force free of an Imperial leader here. It is a 1-0 in favor of the dark side, though. And then for light side, your docking bay transit here requires 3 force, 7 if the shield gate is on table. Again, that makes sense with thematic and everything, but I got no problem with these sites. I actually like the sites. I like the objective. It seems thematic. It seems kind of cool. And it's something different. Plus, I mean, who doesn't want to blow away stuff with the Death Star?
And it's good to see both sides having the Scarif locations now.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So
I know the next card, I believe, there's one card that
there is one more card to spoil, and this is probably the card that I'm most excited about.
Is it yours?
It might be.
Might be.
It's also something that a lot of people have been wanting for a while. We're getting in episode 3 Darth Vader.
Oh, nice. Bring it.
Darth Vader, Betrayer of the Jedi. This slip is going to go over. He is Anakin. His name is Anakin. Kind of fits. He's a leader. Power 6, ability 6, Darth Jedi. It's the first Vader that is a Sith.
Oh, he's a Sith.
So he is a Sith.
That's awesome. I like that.
So you can play him in ASM. You can't play him in Invasion, though. But again, he is a Sith. During battle, if a lightsaber swung by Vader just hit a character's game text is canceled. And if Amidala, she is immediately lost. While on Coruscant, adds 1 Darkseid icon here. Immune to set 3 Amidala, and attrition less than 5. Deploy 6, forfeit 8. So
I like that. We just had I think this is a big ASM helper, and I just played ASM at our Minnesota State this last weekend. I wish ASM was better. So,
yeah,
but I actually really like this card. Having an early Vader and a Sith, that's a really cool feature to him. I don't know. I wish ASM was good because I like that theme.
I like him. I like the ability to go get him if you lose him with Savage Press too. I think that'll be good.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Hey, maybe Savage Press will be playable now.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing with Savage.
Yeah.
You just get 2 Sith. I mean, even 1 Sith. Savage is what, power 8?
Yeah.
Power
Power
8
8
draws on his own.
And again, the whole while he's on Coruscant, you get an extra Darkseid icon that works on any Coruscant site. So even if he's at the Jedi Council chamber, you get a +1 icon.
That's pretty cool.
Thematic on Coruscant.
Yep.
And again, he kills Amidala. I mean, I know this is going to hit.
If he hits her.
Yeah, if he hits her. Now, I know this hurts WAP a little bit, but don't get me wrong. Like, if you hit the Amidala, she's gone.
Yeah, but you can't even hit her with...
yeah, she's defense value 6. She's defense value 6. You can't hit her with Panaka. And you play...
Panaka won't let you... Yeah.
And you play, I think I can handle myself. So, you're probably not going to hit Amidala.
No.
And he's a mute, so his game text will not be canceled by Padme.
Seems good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it.
So, hopefully, once this is said and after the show, we'll get Jerry to post all these spoilers and everything onto the forums. Again, every spoiler we just went over tonight is subject to change until the set is released. Look for the set about a month out from Worlds. That is straight from the mouth of Chris Kelly. So if Chris was in the chat, which he is not, he's avoiding me right now. I would want to get a more official answer, but Chris Kelly is dodging me because he knows I'm gunning for him to give me an answer.
Yeah,
I think we all want an answer. We're all getting excited seeing all these spoilers. Everybody's getting excited.
Yeah.
I'm speaking of real quickly. I'm actually really excited to see what the Vader image is going to be. That's what I'm excited about.
Well, funny enough, all you got to do to see that is go into the Facebook page.
Oh, is it really up?
Some of the images are already up on the banner.
Okay, I'll have to take a look.
Yeah. And I know at least one person got one of these from Nationals. If you got one of the Holotheatre packs and it had like a little bonus card in there that says it's a redemption card for a Darth Vader Betrayer of the Jedi, that's this card. So I should be able to get us, once this is out, I'll have that card. If you have one, I will have those cards available for Worlds if you're there. If you're not, I'll send it to you. But you'll have my pretty face on that card.
I'm excited.
Same here. Okay, and a couple last things before we finish up for the night. Again, August deck building challenge. All you got to do is play a dark side and a light side deck from Nationals and win with them. Had a few people actually complete this. Idea Track, who came up with the all Jedi format, he completed it. Jag Tech Hazardville, he completed it as well. Dorsch, he completed it. And I think that's it. So we've had a couple of people actually complete this challenge. So next week we'll do the random drawing to see who gets the prize. And yeah, so you still got a few days to get this challenge in if you want to attempt it. But yeah, get that challenge done. I am not sending anything to Chris Kelly. Chris Kelly did not give me a formal answer, and I feel like an idiot coming on here and be like, "Oh, it's going to be a month before Worlds." Yeah.
What is that date?
That's about
October
2
12th
weeks.
and 13th,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so that's like
It's about a week
3
and a half out. 2 weeks out.
Okay,
Hopefully.
that's the hope.
Chris
Huh?
Kelly's not getting anything until we get an official time and date.
It's like 16 days away.
Yeah, that's too long. Get the players what they
I think
want.
that's feasible.
Get the players what they want. They want a Darkseid. They want a new Vader.
We're getting there, I'm sure.
Getting there. Okay, Dennis.
Well,
Do you know what time it is? Have you watched the show before?
I honestly, if I don't watch it live, I usually go back and watch it just because that's another way that I actually try to like prepare for Star Wars, believe it or not, is listening to the interviews of other players. So,
Okay.
But-
Well, it's time for your lore challenge.
yeah, this is not going to go well.
I got faith in you. You got Scott here to help you.
That's very true. Actually, it might go very well because, I mean, Scott's going to do all the heavy lifting here. I'm not doing nothing.
yeah. I'm not really good at this stuff.
So what I'll do is I will read the lore to you, and then after I read the lore, you will get to know. You will get the pick of. Do you want me to tell you the set or the type of card? So.
Sure.
Here we go. Your lore challenge tonight is military repulsor lift armed with 3 light repeating blasters. With a top speed of 160 kilometers per hour, they have the ability to outflank an opponent in battle.
I don't know how Scott feels, but I want to hear the set.
It is from Theed Palace.
Sounds good to me.
Your
Is it
set
Hoth?
is Theed Palace.
Do we each get a guess, or is it just one combined guess?
One combined guess.
You can do it. I think you know this one. It's very easy.
Oh, I don't. I can picture it. I have no idea what the name is. The droid's riding on the back of it.
There you go.
But I have no idea what the name is. I can picture the card exactly. So Scott, I'm gonna have to let you say the name because I have no idea what it is.
No, I have no idea either. I'm thinking it might have Theed Palace or Naboo in it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Theed Palace. I don't know. Yeah, it's not a staff, Dennis. That's what you're thinking of. It's not the droid thing. It's the thing that the light side have. It's their vehicles.
Okay, I can picture that one too. Yeah, the little like hover vehicles.
It's blue and like silver. Yeah, it's Palace. I don't know. I don't know it. I'm gonna. It's all you, Dennis. You got this one.
You're sure it's the light side one, huh?
Yeah, 3 blasters. Absolutely. It has to be.
Well,
It has to
I'm
be.
going to say Joe Olson says it's one of the STAP thingies.
No, it
That's
can't
what he
be.
says in the chat. He says it's one of the STAAP things.
I can't imagine it being that. My guess is it would be something that's light side. And I can't think of it. I mean,
I don't know the name of it either.
It's not an AAT. It's definitely the light side. Son of a. Yeah, I figured it out. Okay, I cheated. I'm not gonna. Yeah. That's what Bill just posted. The
Bill?
The Gian Speeder.
Yeah, Bill. He was thinking the Gian Speeder, and it is the Gian Speeder.
Dang it. At least were you thinking that, Dennis?
So once you said it was light side, yeah, I knew the exact picture. I just no shot I was ever gonna get that name, to be honest.
Yeah. Huh.
Maybe if I'd already sorted through my light side stuff, I would know. but I only have Darkseid
Yeah, yeah.
sorted right
Well,
now.
there
So
you go. You should start with everything.
I'm working on it.
Glad
Stop-
we
stop
listen. We
playing
worked well
baseball.
together, Dennis.
Stop playing.
Hey, baseball's done. Baseball's done for the year. Now I just play softball right now. So
According to Joe Olson, he has never seen the card.
I only remember it because of who knows why.
Yeah.
But Dennis, you and I worked really well together, so you did good.
Okay, everybody.
I
So
agree.
that's all we have for tonight's show. Again, once the show is finished, hopefully Jared or somebody will post those spoilers that we covered tonight. Again, all the spoilers that we did cover tonight are all subject to change until they are final release. Again, I want to thank Scott for coming on as the co-host this week. Dennis, I do remember you, and it has been a pleasure to have you on. Hopefully, we'll have you on again at some point. That's all. Again, that's all we got for tonight. Next week is going to be an important show for Holotheatre. For those who have been keeping up with the show since the initial beginning with Jerry and myself, I know Robbie and Jerry did a show, but we're talking about the revival of the show. Next week is the official 100th episode. We have done 100 episodes of the show. How about that? That's crazy to me. The fact that we've done this many. Scott has come on as the main host a few times. Jared came on. Jerry has been the main host. But it's been a trip. So I think all next month for September, Scott wants to do like this big thing for Holotheatre. We're going to try and get Robbie and Jerry on. We're going to have Scott on again. We're going to have anybody who has made Holotheatre great come on and celebrate this show. I myself have only done 94 episodes currently. Next week's going to be my 95th. So please tune in for our 100th episode. It's going to be fun. I can guarantee that. So until next week, everybody, take care and have a good night.